world's greatest Arsenal podcast. Welcome to another podcast by Guns and Yellow Ribbons. Enjoy the show.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to another podcast by Guns and Yellow Ribbons, an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. I am your host, I am Fergus. I'm joined by a very impatient and, curly-haired Gunnar Trev, and I'm also joined by Mem. And after a number of weeks, we got Scunny Mike back. How are we doing, lads? Scunny, how are you keeping, mate?
I couldn't find me on the mute button. Yeah, I'm good.
How are you?
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah, I'm doing well. Thank you very much.
And Mem, it is a bit. Well, I was wondering why you had the hat on. I know you'd normally have one on in the
Hat,
summer, but
jumper,
in the winter,
radiator, everything's on.
It's bitter out there, mate. Yeah, it's bitter.
It's a bit like that, isn't it?
Oh, not quite.
Not quite. Mem, how are you? We were at football last week, and Cole, you got a pair of lungs on you, haven't you?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't notice. Honestly, I didn't notice. That was just the norm.
And
I didn't notice.
How did you enjoy the North Bank?
Yeah.
How did you enjoy the North Bank?
It was a really good day out. I really enjoyed it. It was bitterly cold and a little bit wet, but yeah, it was a great day. Decent result as well. Not a bad performance. Yeah, it was really good. I really enjoyed the day out. Made a change for me, as you know.
Yes. And many more to come, hopefully. I know work and it clashes and stuff, but I'm sure we'll get a few more in. Trevor, how are you, Trev?
Hello, mate. Hello, lads. I'm all right, thank you. I'm shattered. I've just got back from the Northwest, and in the morning, I'm off again to the Northwest. But you know, that's football and television for you, and we all do it. We're us fans. We still do it.
Trev,
listen,
Trev,
first of all, you're an apology.
This isn't television. This is just a podcast, by the way. You're not famous.
What are you talking about?
You said football and television. This is just a podcast.
Football. Oh, shut up. Mem, listen, mate, I'm sorry. I'm gutted I missed you last weekend, mate. I was so looking forward to catching up. But it just came a bit too soon, mate, after that bloody
No worries.
virus. And
There'll be other times. I'm sure there'll be other times.
I hope so. And Scunny, good to see you, mate. It's been a long time. And I just got to say,
it's been a while, mate.
I'll say good evening to my beautiful grandchildren. They put a comment up there, and so I've got to say good evening to them. Love you all, and that's it. That's me done. I'm ready to go, Fergus. I'm ready to go tonight. I'm not.
I must admit, Trev, it's a Sunday evening at 6:30 here in the UK. I went out today and I really fancied a roast dinner and a pub lunch, and I ended up going to the Horseshoes in Epping Forest, and this turned up. It was absolutely amazing, home cooked, just like my mum used to make. Honestly, it made me think of my mum when I had that food. It was outstanding. That was only the medium. I didn't even go for the large, but I'll tell you, all afternoon I had a couple of pints in the pub, just chatting to my mates afterwards. And I've sat on the sofa, I've drifted off, and I woke up at 6 o'clock and went, oh, Christ, I've got the podcast to do. So we better make this a bit of a lively one. You
can understand people that put pictures of food on social media, me. What a life they must lead having to put a picture of their dinner on social media, eh? I might drop off to sleep in a minute.
Finished? You finished?
Yeah.
Guys, listen, we're going to get into the Man United game and then we're going to look at the Everton game. But before we do that, listen, I know it's not 6 minutes into the podcast yet, but it's just about coming up to that sort of time. There's some really, really sad news, and all the clubs around the country have been commemorating this young Arthur, who sadly was treated awfully by people. We talked about it briefly before we came on air, and it makes us all sick to our stomachs about how somebody could treat a child that way. But I thought that we should at least do what all the other clubs do, and just commemorate and respect the guy. Sticking his picture up doesn't change anything. It doesn't do anything to bring the boy back. But it's
makes me want to cry, Ferg. Makes me want to cry. But to be honest with you, mate, I mean, it's hit me hard that with I've got loads of young grandchildren and that, Ferg, but putting pictures up like that, mate, does help because it highlights it a little bit, and it might make people that are thinking about mistreating their children, these sad, well, they're not humans, that might possibly mistreat their children. It might make them think twice, and it might make them search other avenues and to sort things out. So it does help, Fergus, mate. It does.
Seek some help, or it's awful to say, but give your kids away if needs be. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Listen, we are going to talk about the Manchester United versus Arsenal game. It was on Amazon Prime. It was 8:15, which is a really weird kickoff time. Weird for me at home even just to watch it. Trevor, you were there.
Yeah, I was.
What was the... no consideration whatsoever on a Thursday night, and we'll talk about the fact that we're playing again tomorrow night against Everton in the Northwest. So no trains home for anybody, and then no trains home for anybody on Monday night. How was it up there? How were our Arsenal faithful, and what was the atmosphere like pre-game?
Mate, they were all right, the Arsenal fans. They were loud. It wasn't the best atmosphere I've ever been in, but they were loud and they made themselves heard. And it's always difficult in Old Trafford normally because there's so many, 70-odd thousand there, and there's 3,000 of you, But Man United fans were strangely quiet for most of the game. They cheered a bit, they got loud when Man United scored their goals and obviously when they won the game. And then they were only singing about Vieira because they're jealous they never had him. But I was proud of the Arsenal fans on Thursday night, Fergus, for more than one reason. They did sing up and sing loud. It's a horrible place to get into, Manchester, and get away from. It's not like they came out afterwards and jumped on the coaches and went home because there were no trains. There were still coach loads of Arsenal supporters in Manchester at midnight, stuck in traffic, trying to get away. Because there was Manchester Christmas markets going. The place was heaving. So I was very proud of the Arsenal fans that made their way up there on a school night. And I'm still a bit baffled by our football. I know we're going to talk about the game shortly, but it's one of the most baffling Arsenal performances I have ever seen, mate.
Mem, did you manage to get to watch the game? The team selection, we started off with El Neni starting over Lokonga. Did you think putting El Neni on was a sensible decision in the sense of the way I viewed it? Was I thought they were just trying to be a bit pragmatic in his tactics.
Yeah, you know what you get with El Neni. You know exactly what you're going to get from the man, really, basically. So, and probably the way he played last season potentially influenced his decision. I wasn't too disappointed with the lineup. I probably would have liked to have seen Tierney back in the team. I think Tavares has done really, really well. I really do, but I think we miss Tierney's leadership abilities at the back. He's more vocal and is a little bit more aggressive. I think he's a more pure defender, in my opinion. But I wasn't too disappointed with the overall performance. I think we kind of gifted it to him to a large degree.
Don't go into the full game. We're just
all right. Okay, sorry, mate.
You do this every time, I can't.
Yeah,
man.
Sorry, man.
The lineup.
Come on now.
On the 90th minute, that was. Scotty,
I wasn't too disappointed with the selection. One or two.
Scotty. Mem makes a good point there about KT. Were you happy with Tavares starting? Tavares hasn't, bar the Liverpool game, hasn't put a foot wrong. I thought he's had a good game, and if you're on form, why should you be dropped?
No, I don't think he did much wrong in the Liverpool game, to be honest with you. He's still learning his trade. He's still coming into the UK and coming into the Premiership, and playing in some really horrible weather in circumstances, especially in the Northwest, and it's not great and it's cold. He's probably not used to that, but I think he's done really well. I think he has done all right. So I think, in all fairness, I think he should have started the game over Tierney, because you got to look at it in the sense of he hasn't done really anything wrong. He's made a couple of mistakes here and there, but who doesn't?
Yeah. I was going to say he did make some proper clangers against Liverpool in the back pass and so on. And
A couple maybe, yeah, but he kept Salah, who's probably the world's best winger, a right-sided winger, or Europe's best right-sided winger, and yet he kept him in his back pocket for majority of the game. It's obviously, Salah has got his quality, so yeah, sooner or later he's going to come unstuck against him, like anybody would. But I don't think he did much wrong.
We're having
It's
a
been
domestic
really
in the
impressive.
chat.
You're right.
Having a domestic in the chat. Ross is having a row with his wife. Ross, a better place to have discussions than on here. Well done, Jenny.
Is that a first on this podcast, Fergus?
Jesus Christ!
Yeah. We're having a domestic. Yeah, we got Gunnar Ross is telling his wife Jenny Hogg to make him a cup of coffee and be quiet, and Jenny replied, "Okay, darling. I expect Jenny, if you do, just." Nice spit in his coffee and.
Oh no, Fergus, behave yourself.
Kick him in the nuts or something and tell him to make his own damn coffee.
Right, so let's look at this. Probably the major talking point was the opening 10-15 minutes. We quite more or less dominated the game, as Hilsey said. We dominated, we quietened Old Trafford. And then there was this freak goal. So right said Fred, as right foot Fred, stood on De Gea's foot, and Smith Rowe come along and scored a good goal, but
a beautiful
volley,
by the way.
It was a beautiful volley. Yeah, it was, Mike. It was. But did anybody think, watching on TV, I'll go to you, Mike, first, did you think that VAR were desperately looking for a reason that they could disallow that goal?
Not necessarily, no. I think I just think it was taking its time because there was an injury to De Gea. I think more than anything, it was pretty clear to see that it was Fred who stood on his goalkeeper. I don't think they couldn't have made the ref didn't blow his whistle. So at the end of the day, it's a goal. There's no mistakes about it. I don't think they were trying desperately to get, to call it off and say it wasn't a goal. I think just wondering why the ref was taking so long and De Gea was taking so long. You could argue the fact if De Gea went off on a stretcher, you could argue possibly the goal might have been disallowed, but he wasn't. He got up, he started walking. So, no, it was definitely 100% a goal. And I don't think anyone was prepared to say otherwise in the game, with VAR or the ref. I don't think there was even, it was, like I say, yeah, like Russ has said in the comments, blatant goal. So it's a case of there.
Mem, what did you make of it? You watched it on TV like me. Did you feel? I just felt like they were going for angle after angle. They were trying to see.
I don't know. It was a bizarre one, wasn't it? It really was an odd one. Let's face it. I had a young lad at my door today. He noticed the badge, and it just so happened to be a Man U fan, and he mentioned this to me, and he was categorically, no, it should not have stood. I said, but what did anyone in an Arsenal shirt do wrong? And he said nothing. But our goalie was on the floor. It was just a real bizarre one, but I think it was the right decision to give the goal. Yeah, it took a bit of time, but it was just the oddest goal ever, really, weren't it? Yeah,
it was. It was, and I just felt like whether we're looking at the ref, when he started to lift the whistle to his mouth, is exactly the point that Smith Rowe was about to hit the back of the net. And they were trying to see, was that before he hit the ball or after he hit the ball, and was he going to blow for a foul, or was he blown?
I don't know. Is that
he could clearly see it was
natural reaction for a referee from a corner? He's like looking for something, but there was nothing there. There was no foul. It's certainly not from an Arsenal player. So it was the right decision, but and Mike's right. Emmy took the shot ever so well. Took the volley really well. Took it really good. You could argue, had De Gea been stood up, he could have kind of like saved it quite easily, but his own player
he was on the floor from his own player's fault.
Yeah.
It's a goal.
So it is. As harsh as it is for them, had we considered a goal like that, we'd have been gutted. It's a hard one to take, but it was the right decision.
Well, as you know, my brothers are Man United fans, and I'm on my nephew brothers chat group, and they went as a goal. There's nothing. Trev, how was it in the ground? Because that's going to be a weird one to experience. Everyone's type of jumping up and going, "Oh, is it what it?"
Yeah, I'm glad you've remembered I'm here, by the way. But yeah, Fergus, it was.
Sorry, Trev, I didn't realise we had to talk to other people. You know, we'll just go. You know, I'll leave you to it, Trev.
Welcome to the Trev Show.
Yeah, I'll just sit here and watch, mate. It's not a problem.
I'll speak when I'm spoken to now, Scunny. I don't butt in, mate. I'll speak when I'm spoken to by our honourable leader, Fergus. But in all seriousness, boys, it was one of the strangest things I've ever experienced in all my years of watching football, because we were down the other end of the ground, the away fans, and you could clearly see that there was no one near De Gea, but you couldn't see why he'd gone down. There was no Arsenal players near him. And firstly, Smith Rowe deserves a bit of credit, because Smith Rowe just volleyed that ball in the back of the net, but he didn't think he'd scored. I don't know if the camera stayed on Smith Rowe on the telly. I've not watched it back on the telly. I'm just going from what I saw live. But Smith Rowe just stood there, turned round, and walked back towards the touchline to get a drink, because he thought that De Gea's down. What's going on? And then the bloke, I thought, what is happening here? And then the bloke behind me said, well, there was no one near De Gea, was there? And we said, no, there weren't. He said, well, it's not a foul then. The only thing they can do is give a goal. The only thing they can do, and he called it perfectly, this bloke. I don't know where he saw it as he did. But so credit to ESR, like Mike just said, and shame on De Gea, because someone trod on his toe. And he would only stayed down because he wanted the game stopped, because Arsenal were attacking. If someone trod on his toe, he could have stood up and at worst limped on and probably saved that shot. So no sympathy at all for Man United, particularly no sympathy for De Gea. He was playing the game, thought he'd stay down and get the game stopped. Smith Rowe read it brilliantly, and it wasn't until and it was a long time, wasn't it? What was it, 3, 4, 5 minutes?
4 or 5 minutes, and there wasn't even that much added on, yeah.
No, and not one Arsenal player thought that was a goal until the ref went like that, VAR, and gave the goal. Then everyone went loopy, like, you know, as we would. But no, credit to Arsenal. They didn't celebrate a goal.
It kind of came across that way on TV as well, you know, Trev.
Yeah, and Trev, it came across like that on TV, but you said like the Arsenal players actually stayed back and they didn't surround the referee, didn't hassle or harangue the referee. But as soon as he did award the goal, all the Man United players were around the referee, giving him like an earful. I thought it was just poor form by Man United, really.
You could clearly see it. You could clearly see they all got around the referee. If I was one of them Man United players, I'd have been getting around De Gea, me, and saying, what are you doing? Someone's trod on your toe. Get up and play the game, you know?
Mate, those days are over, mate.
You know?
Them days are over, mate.
Quicker to say something to the ref, innit? Or easier.
And if Trev, myself and yourself, we talked about this. I was in the car yesterday morning picking up the sister-in-law, because she came round and my mother-in-law came round at some Christmas drinks with my wife yesterday, and we were chatting about the game and how it went and when you got home and various bits and pieces, and we talked about the way that we went 1-0 up. We dominated that first 10, 15 minutes, whatever it was, that goal, and then we just went so deep. We were playing some good football, Trev. We were passing the ball in triangles. We were keeping good possession. Even Partey wasn't losing the ball too often. But it just seemed that we dropped deeper and deeper and deeper.
I'm gonna have 10 seconds, and I'll let you boys that were watching it talk about it. Maybe put me right, because there's a few things I said on social media after the game, and there seemed to be a different viewpoint on telly. But I thought that as soon as we scored that goal, the way we'd been playing, I thought, there's a second coming quickly here, because we're playing really well. And it was like someone flicked a switch. We turned off, we dropped off, we lost all of our movement up the field, and we went from playing blindingly well to absolute rubbish. And not rubbish, no, that's wrong. Not absolute rubbish, but we dropped. We dropped at a much lower standard we were playing. And then what really annoyed me is as soon as Man United scored the equaliser, someone flicked the switch back on again, and we're up the field pressing again. That was how I saw it. That's what I said at the start of the show. It was baffling. It baffled me greatly how we could go from different levels so quickly. And I don't know how you boys saw it on watching at home, but I couldn't work it out. It was very frustrating, Fergus.
Mem, could you see it from watching on TV? Because I actually agreed with Trev. I saw it, and the guy I was watching it with had said, "Oh, we're dropping deep. We're getting so deep."
That's probably the inexperience of our team to a degree, I suppose. But yeah, we started really well. In possession and out of possession, I thought we was right on the money. We were forcing them up blind alleys. They didn't have anywhere to go, and it looked as if we could have potentially, stretched the lead had we continued that way. I don't know why they started. The intensity did come off a bit. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't got the answer for that. I'm sure Mikel on the side would have been wanting them to continue in the same vein. I suppose I can only put that down to the inexperience of the the young team, I suppose.
Okay, so
not being ruthless enough.
Scotty, Mem puts it down to the inexperience of the players on the pitch, and we had some senior players and some young players on that pitch. And this isn't going to be a witch hunt one way or the other against players or against management. But Scotty, did you think the game management at that point was down to Arteta and that his philosophy was, right, we've got a 1-0 lead, we'll stick with it? And do you think it was poor game management, or do you think it was just inexperience with youth?
Look, well, you got to look at it from previous games that we've played. We're very, very intense in the first 20, 25 minutes, and then we seem to drop off. It's just it's that saying that we have, and I can't remember the saying. I think it's like we cause our own problems when we do stuff like that. You see, we're very intense in the first 20, 25 minutes in any game that we've played, and then we seem to just drop off constantly all the time. And this time, the problem that you've got is when you drop off so much, you're inviting pressure. And when you're constantly inviting pressure onto yourselves, you're going to end up losing a goal or something. Something's going to happen that you don't want to happen. So would I put that down to the players? No, because I've seen it before in many other games. I'd probably put it down to the way we're coached, the way we're managed at the moment. And I think that's where the inexperience comes down to. You see, when you get something like a freak goal, like we did at the start of Man United, and we was constantly at them, they were there for the taking in the first 20, 25, even in the first 40 minutes, they were there for the taking. I just don't understand why, when you get that sort of freak goal, you're 1-0 up. You don't when you can push at them, and when you're pushing at them, and you can see that they're very weak at the back, you carry on going for it. You don't sit there, you don't drop back, you go for it and see what you can get out of it, and then maybe look in the second half where we can go from there. So if you're 2-3 goals up by the first half, you can drop back in the second half. You can let it go a little bit better. You can play the ball a bit more. But you can't do that 1-0 up away. Even at Old Trafford, no matter where you are, you can't do that away, especially at Old Trafford, because look at the games that we've had there before, and it's only till recently where we think to ourselves we can go to Old Trafford and get something from it. Only in the last couple of years, and that's down to, in some respect, Arteta is the catalyst for that, because that was the first game we've lost at Manchester United since he's been manager. I think, I think that's the first time we've lost against him.
Right.
Yeah, so right. So it's done. It must have been coming down to the coaching and the way we've been managed to play this game. So that's where my issue with that comes down is, and then yes, I would blame the management over the players and the way we're coached. So it's the coaching management side of it rather than the players. But you can't, knowing that Manchester United aren't playing very well, they're in between managers. They've got an interim manager in at the time, in Michael Carrick. He went to Chelsea and got a draw. Fair enough. Good for you. Well done. Well done. This is Arsenal now. We go at you. But we just didn't, and that's what really annoyed me about that first half of the game.
Yeah, Trev, your thoughts?
I've got
Trev, your thoughts on that, and also Trev. While you're talking about that, can you cover the equaliser as well? Was El Neni at fault? So, like, just the game management and on that side of things as well.
I'm sort of on the same wavelength as Mike, but I'm moving it away. I can't believe that Mikel Arteta would say to his team, "We've gone 1-0 up in 9 minutes. We're going to sit back and defend that." Right, especially not with that young side. I think that Mike's right about a lack of leadership, maybe, but I think the lack of leadership we've got is on the field, maybe not on the touchline. I think that if we had a captain,
well, we know that.
If we had a captain playing at centre half against Man United on Thursday night, then it could. Who knows? But it could have been a much different result because we didn't have a leader on the field. I'm not going to keep on about Aubameyang. We all know my thoughts on Aubameyang. I get shocked every week when he's picked now. He's certainly not a leader, and I thought that showed greatly against Manchester United. As for the equaliser, Fergus, it had been coming. It had been coming for quite a while because our two midfielders, Partey gave the ball away. I lost count of the amount of times Partey gave the ball away needlessly. And Partey knew that he was... The one thing that I respected Partey for, I wasn't happy with him, but he knew he was having a poor night. He kept on giving himself a whack on the head and he was playing bad balls. And I believe he's come out in the press afterwards and said, I need to up my standards at Arsenal. I need to pick this up. So I'm giving Partey some credit for that.
Yeah.
And then you've got El Neni, right? El Neni, I'll tell you now, tried his socks off on Thursday night. He tried his socks off, but he played to his level, boys. He played to his level. That's not the top level, yeah?
No.
And so we started losing the ball in the midfield a lot. And you could sense Man United's confidence rising, yeah? And I can't remember exactly where the equaliser came. I know it was slid across and it was a tap in really, but I can't remember how that particular move broke down, Fergus. So I'm going to have to leave you to sort that out, mate. How that move broke down and gave the ball to Man United.
You know what? I can't really recall it. I know one of the goals was a fantastic.
We was really unlucky with the first goal. I felt. Sorry to interrupt, mate. Yeah,
go on.
I think we was really unlucky with the first goal. We nicked it from them. We was in possession, and then the ball goes out to Tavares, and it's like a miscontrol. And from there, they just break on us, and we're out of to a degree we're out of shape, and that's where the first goal comes from. And it did switch at that point. The entire game turned on its head because up until that point, I felt that we were playing them. I thought we was playing a really good game and playing them off their own pitch.
Timing.
That's the naivety of it and the inexperience of it, because the boy wants to bomb on, and that's great. But when you make that error,
was that
out of shape?
Was the first goal where he bombed forward to get an interception, then he passed it to Smith Rowe? Was that the first one?
I don't know.
I was just thinking, like, was that the first? Was that their first goal? Was where he bombed forward up the touchline, get an interception, played it to Smith Rowe, and then everyone else was just sort of stood there. So I don't sort of blame Tavares as much as what everybody else did on there, because he was going for it. He was making the interception. He was trying to get some sort of counter attack going. But I found a lot of the players that we had there, a lot of our players were just sort of stood there, just sort of watching what was going on. Right? Oh, it was the second. It was Kai there. Yeah, sorry, it was their second goal. So, but anyway, I'll save that. I'll save that conversation for the second goal.
Listen, we'll go into it, because the timing of that first goal and the equaliser was Bruno Fernandes scored the first goal for United. The timing of that first goal was just really crap. It's just before half time, but we did turn it back on again in that 3 or 4 minutes leading up to half time, and then we came out in the second half and we had a goal again, which is so counterintuitive in my head from where we were at 0-0 and up to 1-0. They scored the second goal, Mike, which is the one that you're talking about. Go on, talk about that one.
Yeah. So where I was at is obviously I don't blame Tavares as much as what I saw a lot of people doing for that. Like I was saying, a lot of our players were just sort of stood there and not really doing more ball watching than anything else, because when you see Tavares going up, and when we do have the likes of Lokonga on the pitch, and I think even at times when I think about Xhaka as well, when he sees the left back go forward, you'll always see Lokonga or even Xhaka move that way to the left to make some cover. El Neni was just sort of stood there, just in no man's land, just sort of stood watching. And sometimes I think to myself, when you know your left back is bombing forward, or even your right back, there's always someone that moves into cover. Be it Partey goes to the right, Xhaka, Lokonga goes to the left, and you always seem to see that in a lot of our games. But El Neni was just sort of stood there. He was just stood there watching the ball, and then he watched it go past him, and then he started running. So that's, I don't blame Tavares as much as probably what other people on that one. Therefore, I think a lot of people were just caught ball watching from what they was doing. I think even Smith Rowe, I think he wasn't expecting it so much. That's why when the pass came to him, he wasn't expecting it, because I don't think he was expecting Tavares to grab it.
And Trev, that second goal when it went in, where the Arsenal fans, and Mike, you'll know because you were there the last time that fans were there as well. Where the Arsenal fans are situated is just above this, like a disabled area, and there's reports in the press of some 12-year-old ending up in a hospital because they got hit by a coin. But first of all, I can't see Arsenal fans targeting disabled people with coins and kids as well with coins. But you did recount to me that there was one man there that,
Yeah, it was a bit. I'm not condoning chucking things and hitting 12-year-old kids, but it was strange because when the second goal went in, they've got the big disabled part in front of the visiting fans at Old Trafford. It's a big area. One of these disabled Man United fans jumped out of his wheelchair, stood up and faced the Arsenal fans, and started.
Mike's nearly lost his drink there.
Spat my drink out. There's his benefits gone.
He's suddenly gone from being in a wheelchair to being up and dancing, and he was flicking the Arsenal fan the V's and the middle finger and calling them, the rhymes of anchor. And he was stood there for some considerable time, and I'm thinking, are the stewards going to go and sit him down? Because he is inciting trouble. It's exactly what you don't want out of a football match, inciting trouble like that, right? And to be honest with you, if I'd have had half an house brick near me, and I'm not proud of myself for saying this, I may well have lobbed it in his general direction. And all I'm saying is, maybe that's when this kid got hit with a coin. I don't know, but he wasn't helpful. But just to finish the story, as he still stood up about a minute and a half later, giving us the V's and the middle finger, we come up this end and score and make it 2-2. So suddenly he stands there, his jaw drops, suddenly he's in the wheelchair again, right? And he got the response from the Arsenal fans that he probably incited. So I don't condone it, but there's always two sides to a little story, and I've just given the other side to a story there.
Yeah, I think the other side to his story is the DWP getting on his blower.
Well, I hope so.
We've caught you at Old Trafford, sir, and you were stood up dancing around. You told us you were confined to the wheelchair, sir.
Honestly, jumps up, mate, dancing around, giving us all the signs. You know what they all are, every one of them. Yeah, the full repertoire. Unfortunately,
the thing that annoyed me about that, aside from the football, the thing that annoyed me about this guy put a picture of his boy with a big thing on his head and has taken off to A&E because of the Arsenal fans had pelted him with pound coins or whatever. I've been to quite a few away games, Trev. You've been to more than you probably been more away games than bloody Aubameyang has been for Arsenal, and we're quite a good lot, and I couldn't see that happening really. Listen, it could do.
Ever since I've been going to away games, I've been going for the last 4 years, nearly 5 years now, and ever since I started going, I've only seen one episode of Trouble, and that was at West Brom. But I wasn't even there that day. I left early. I think it was either West Brom or Burnley. I'm not entirely sure. I can't remember which one it was. But that's the only time I've ever seen or heard of any trouble from Arsenal fans ever since I was going, and that was this season. So, I'm not saying it wasn't an Arsenal fan that did it. It could have well been. So I can't comment because I don't know. Because this is the first time I haven't been to Old Trafford in 4 or 5 years.
It was on Twitter. It's got to be true.
Well, obviously.
Mem 2-2. Odegaard scored a goal. What did you make of that goal?
Yeah, he took the goal well enough. I thought we got, it was good. It was good play. It was a good build up. It was exactly what we needed in the game at that time. Got us back into it. And we looked comfortable at that stage, didn't we? I thought we was playing okay. Out of the two teams, we looked the more likely. Yeah, I don't want to get too ahead of myself and talk about what happened at the end. But yeah, I thought Odegaard had overall a better game. I know he made a shockingly bad decision by diving in for the tackle that resulted in the penalty. But you can't listen, anywhere on the pitch. You make a tackle from the side, from behind like that, and you don't get anywhere near the ball. It's a given, and it's Fred, like, you know, and we got sort of half decent goalie now. You got to back your goalkeeper in that position. Really, you can't. Granted, try and make it hard for him, but you can't be putting your feet in, especially when you're sort of behind him round the side. It's you know, the end result's not good. But overall, I thought he had a more encouraging game. The guy's industry is always good.
He played a little ball, polite, mate, when it comes to Odegaard. You're so polite.
Yeah, I think he's a really talented. I think he's a really talented boy, Ferg. I really do. He's just trying to get that talent out of him. He played a little ball near the end of the game that put Gabby through. Unfortunately, Gabby scuffed the shot. I felt he should have made De Gea work. On other days, he'd score, yeah? I don't know if you guys recall a little dinky ball. And there's not a lot of players that would even see that pass, guys, let alone be able to play it. Yeah, it was only a tiny little ball, but it was a really cute bit of play.
You know what? On Odegaard, I get and I see what people say, that, you know, he's a young talent and he's like begoning and you know, he will come good and everything else. But from what I've seen of him playing in an Arsenal shirt, I've seen him take some really great free kicks and score some goals. And I've seen him wave his arms around, calling for the ball and getting very frustrated when the play doesn't come off the way he wants. And listen, I don't think he's a bad purchase, in the sense that we paid 30-40 million for a 21-year-old Norwegian captain, who, if we can get him going, we'll definitely get our money back, and probably double it if we can get him going. Trev, I think you and me are in a similar camp. We're not totally convinced on the Odegaard situation. And what did you make of the penalty and the tackle? The tackle was just an attacker's tackle, wasn't it?
His head drops too easy, Odegaard. He's all right when we're on top and we're tippy tapping the ball around. But I think when the yards need to be put in, he's a different player, and his head drops a bit. I'm positive he's a decent player, and I want him to stay with us. But I honestly didn't, apart from the parts of the game when we were on top against Man United, when we put ourselves under pressure and we needed to stand up and be counted, I didn't think Odegaard was there much to be seen. So, but he's young and he'll learn, and hopefully he'll come back a better player. There's other players in our team at the moment that I'm more worried about than Odegaard. But I'll, just before I finish, one more sentence. I'll just put this out there. I know we're going to come to it later, but just so it's in your mind, Fergus, Odegaard wouldn't get in my team tomorrow.
Okay. Mike, what did you make of Odegaard's decision, his decision-making on that particular tackle? Are you in the same camp as me and Trev, that you're not overly convinced?
I'm not. I honestly thought he had quite a half-decent game, in all considering, in Man United, to be honest with you. He was trying a lot of things, and when you say he gets frustrated when the things don't go his way, I see that as a good sign, you know, that things not going his way. When you call him for the ball and stuff like that, and it don't come to you, and when you know you're in a good position and you know you can do something with it and no one passes to you, I'd get frustrated. If I was Martin Odegaard, I'd get frustrated at that. I'd be asking questions. Why aren't you passing to me? I'm in a great position. I can flick it on. I can do, you know, you can make something happen. So yeah, so I agree with what he says, and you know, I agree with what Mem was saying about it as well. He is a good little player, and he can do some really good tricks. And you know, we saw that with the goal. And we saw that with his little pass to Martinelli, and we saw, you know, you were seeing specks of that, and not only that, we saw him trying to do stuff and trying to move Aubameyang on as well, you know, because Aubameyang was coming way too far back in that game for me during that game, and you know, you want that forward, you want him to be on You want him to be on the shoulder of the last defender. You don't want him to be where he were. And I think that's a lot of the things that that's going to frustrate someone like Martin Odegaard. I was thinking back
as well.
Sorry, say that again.
I think he works hard, Mike. I think he works really hard as well, Mike. Really hard.
Answer Matt D'Souza's question. Can you see Odegaard being like Juan Mata? He's not for me. The jury's still out for him. Doubt the opposition are over concerned seeing his name on the team sheet.
Yeah. I mean, at the moment, listen, the boy's a work in progress. I'm not saying he's a finished article. Yeah, what I can see in him, he's not been with us for very long, guys. Yeah, he's just, I don't know. I just think he's really talented. The trick now is getting that talent out of him and getting him bossing games and expressing that talent on the pitch. Yeah. So the fella that posted that, he's absolutely right. No, I wouldn't be that concerned about as seeing him as my opponent on the day because he's not done enough yet. But there are little snippets of play that I find really encouraging about the boy. Yeah, and I don't think his head does drop. Yeah, Trev. Personally, I think he works really hard. I like his industry. We just need to see more. And you're right. It's frustrating at the moment to watch him because things aren't coming off for him as he'd maybe like.
He drifts in and out. I find he drifts in and out of the game. I know on the game that we saw.
We got a centre forward that's never in the game for a start. Okay.
I'm going to come on to him.
Can I just make a point? Can I just make a point?
Out a 21-year-old. Go on, mate.
Yeah, sorry, mate. I was just waiting till you finish just to make a point on that. You look at Martin Odegaard. He's an attacking midfielder. We don't do that much attacking at Arsenal.
No.
In that sort of sense, we're not a very attacking team. Considering we've got so much attacking talent in this team, we don't do a lot of attacking. So I can see where his frustrations are probably coming from.
We're just too slow with We're just too slow with the ball, moving the ball forward at times, and that's where Odegaard gets frustrated, and that's where we ultimately end up giving Aubameyang, who is having a bit of a confidence issue at the moment. He gets little or no service in games, guys, and he's not having a good time. He's not a great footballer, Aubameyang. Okay, he used to be a great finisher, but I don't know about that at the moment.
On the point of Aubameyang, then, so we're 11 minutes left. We're 3-2 down. What do you do if you're Mikel Arteta? Do you take off a proven striker, your captain? The guy who's on the pitch. We see he's not in form. And do you introduce a young, youthful Eddie Nketiah, who's already that week just announced that he's refusing to sign a contract and he wants to leave Arsenal?
It's just modern day football, that is, guys, isn't it? I mean, players nearing the end of their contract and not wanting to sign and extend. Most clubs still do play them. I don't know. I mean, proven goal scorer, but he was having an horrible game. Ferg, Ubba was struggling, man. It was like, where's all the power gone? Where's the sharpness? He just didn't. He looked really, really down on his luck. Really, really sort of like down on confidence myself. So. Yeah, I mean, I don't know who else did we have on the bench. I don't know. Did we have any? Laka was already on, was he not? Who else? I mean, I don't know what to say about that. But Obama didn't do a great deal.
The way I see it is, I think he made the wrong decision with that because, in all fairness, yes, he should have probably not brought Nketiah on. He should have taken Aubameyang off for Lacazette rather than did he take? Yeah, he took Aubameyang off at the same time as Martin Odegaard. Did he not?
The subs were weird, weren't they? Yeah, they were a bit weird.
Yeah, so Aubameyang and Odegaard came off for Lacazette and Nketiah. You see, I probably would have left Odegaard on and just taken Aubameyang off earlier on in the game. I was calling for him to come off at half-time, Aubameyang, because he's done nothing. He's done nothing since the start of the season.
That as well on the WhatsApp group. Straight away at half-time.
In all fairness, I've been saying it for a long time, Mem. I think I started saying it halfway through last season. Aubameyang needs to be dropped. Aubameyang needs to sit on the bench. He needs to sort himself out. He needs to get his head right, or he needs to get his confidence back. He's not going to get confidence back if he's not playing well week in, week out. That's not going to get your confidence back. He's just going to get his head drop all the time. I think it's been done for a long, long time now. I think it's been done from last season. And this season has just made it even worse. We need goals. We need someone to push forward, and we need to do that. If the goals aren't going to come from Aubameyang, we know the goals aren't going to come from Lacazette. The Lacazette could be that person who could feed on to your wingers and bring the wingers in more central when playing forward. The likes of Saka, ESR, we've got Martinelli. We know he can score goals. We've seen it, but he hasn't been playing that often. But we need to bring him on more because we know he can score goals from the wing. And not only that, in some respects, even Pepe, bringing him on as well. Obviously after everyone else, but we need to start looking at something different rather than having Aubameyang as our central focal point to our attack.
Does anyone see Martinelli as a number 9?
Hang on. Before we go to that, the fact that Pepe wasn't brought on ahead of Nketiah, it speaks volumes that Pepe is soon for leaving. Trev, as the oracle and the oldest man in the world, I ask you to finish the debate on the Aubameyang thing. Irish Mick, we thank you for all your comments on YouTube every time you watch us, and thanks for your support. He thinks Aubameyang is a bit of a scapegoat. We're struggling to find goals in this team, but the style of play, and that's what Mike was saying earlier. The style of play we got. What's your thoughts on that substitution at 11 minutes to go, taking a striker off, but another striker on that? I don't know.
No, listen, right. The lads are made. I've listened to Mike and Mem there, and they've made some really good points. And I've listened, and it's interesting because when you take it right down to the basics, there's two absolutely different views from two different sides of the fan base, and both could be right. Some are saying that Aubameyang's unlucky; he doesn't get fed the ball enough. Some are saying that our midfielders are unlucky because they've not got a striker to play to. And you could sort of see both of them things, but I'm of the view that no, Aubameyang shouldn't have been substituted on 79 minutes because, to be honest with you, Fergus, he shouldn't have started the game if we were going on form, right? I think we mentioned it on this podcast a long, long time ago now, and I can't remember who mentioned it, and they're totally right. Aubameyang isn't much of a footballer. He's a goal scorer, right? He's a goal scorer. And we had the feeling at the time that if his goals ever dried up, then he wasn't going to offer us a lot else, right? And I've no doubt that Aubameyang is trying. His energy levels seem high in a game, but he's not scoring goals, right? And it's highlighting the rest of his footballing game or ability, if you want. So, we haven't got a proper informed goal scorer in the club. People say put Lacazette in for Aubameyang. Lacazette's not a goal scorer, really. He's a striker, scores your goal. He's not prolific. We haven't got a prolific goal scorer. And Aubameyang, if nothing else, he shouldn't be captain. If that might help him. So there's two sides of looking at it, Fergus. But Aubameyang, in my view, shouldn't get in this side at the moment. And something else to talk about in a minute. He wouldn't be in my team tomorrow.
Well, let's go and look at that game against Everton tomorrow. And what do you think of my nice new background? I've just been playing with some stuff on there.
No, not for me,
don't
mate.
Like it?
No.
I'll take it off then.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Yeah, I like that.
What's going on?
Yeah, I like that.
A question for our viewers and people who listen. Who do you reckon is older, Trev or Gunnosaurus? Answers on a postcard. You can email us at.
What worries me most, boys? You know what worries me most? The missus would rather cuddle Gunnosaurus than me now. So, it's a little bit
understandable, Trev. Understandable.
Well, in all fairness, mate, you do look like you're in a basement trying to make Frankenstein, to be honest with you.
Doc Brown.
I'm in my boudoir.
Your boudoir? Have you got a DeLorean in your garage, mate? Trying to make the flux capacitor.
Yeah. I fell asleep with me. And I can't do nothing with it, boys. It's doing me head in.
Hey, sorry, Arnie, you might be blocked soon. I'm not older. Arnie is in Iceland, I believe. Hello, Arnie. And we've also got a new watcher, which is Nathaniel.
Oh, wicked.
And he's in Brazil. in Brazil. So hello, mate. I bet you're a little bit warmer than us. So we're going to talk about the Everton game. Trev, you come along, so you wouldn't have Odegaard, you wouldn't have Aubameyang.
No.
So who is your lineup? So I assume Ramsdale in goal.
I would make 3 changes from Thursday.
Go on.
I'd bring Lokonga back for El Neni. Yeah. I'd bring Saka and Laka in for Odegaard and Alba. Right. But what I'd do is I'd still let Laka play in the 10 role and I'd play Martinelli through the middle. We're not sure if Martinelli can play through the middle. Who knows? But as we've said over and over again, he ain't going to be any worse, is he? And he's going to be a little bit of a change. And is he going to liven it? Because we need lifting. So, yeah, I would play Martinelli up front through the middle, Laka just behind him, and I'd bring Saka in, and Odegaard and Aubameyang would give up front, and I'd swap El Neni for Lokonga. Don't forget Everton, a different gravy as well, you know, and although it's not the best Man United side I've ever seen, but that's what infuriates me, boys. We lost to it. Man United.
You know what, Trev?
Don't worry,
No. The thing was, Man United are 10 men of average and one unusual freak that is Cristiano Ronaldo, and he's outstanding.
Oh, mate, don't say his name on here.
I'm going to slightly disagree with you. I think we got undone by 2 very, very, very good players. In one is Cristiano Ronaldo and 2 Bruno Fernandes. I think they're the reasons why we came undone.
He was the player on the pitch. The latter was the player on the pitch. Right, Fernandes. He was.
Right, okay. Mem, you asked the question, and I cut you off at the time, and you asked the question: can Martinelli make a 9?
And
well,
I put that out to you guys. So Trevor would play him, but Mike's not quite so keen on him as a number 9.
Stop. 34 degrees in Brazil. It's very hot, mate. How can we block him? Because that's not fair. We're sitting here in 3 degrees.
We're not gonna block him. Be nice.
I'm only joking.
You're not taking that service, are you?
Anyway, at 34 degrees as an Irishman, that's way too hot for me. Once it goes over 28, I'm done. Mem, sorry, I went over you. You heard what Trev said with the lineups.
Number 9. Martinelli has a number 9. He played there a few. You know, when his breakout season, his first season with us. I think it was in the League Cup. I think he played a few games through the middle and done okay. I just think the guy is effervescent, isn't he? He's all over the place. He's non-stop. He's busy constantly with the ball, without the ball. He's always trying to make things happen. And I think, as Trev sort of mentioned, I don't think he can do much worse than Aubameyang at the moment. Oba looks like he's running in quicksand, man. He's just, everything looks hard and draining for him at the moment. And the lads are right. You maybe need to take him out the firing line in the hope that he rediscovers his goal scoring form, because he ain't a great footballer and he seems to have lost his power at the moment. So yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Martinelli at the tip of the sword, like right up top personally, especially against an Everton team that have been, I don't think they're having the best of times themselves at the moment, but I'd definitely like to see KT back at left back. And that's not saying that Tavares has done anything wrong, okay? I think he's been really impressive. I just think it's a must-win game for us, and I just feel we need all our best players on the pitch. And I think KT will be chomping at the bit by now to get out there and just reclaim his spot. So yeah, I'd go with that. I do like the centre back pairing, and Tommy Ashley for me. So many ups. We've gone so many levels up in this boy as our right back from what was before. It's great, and the goalie's just fantastic. So yeah, that's what I would personally do, and definitely bring Lokonga on for El Neni, because El Neni's going. You know what you're going to get from him. Unfortunately, I don't think it's no longer enough for our team.
Scunny, Lokonga on for El Neni. There's talk of Xhaka being available for this game. If Xhaka is available, you know Arteta, he's got news on Arteta. You know he'll play.
Possibly, you don't know though, do we? No, but I'd definitely bring in Lukonga back in for El Nene. I think he has makes mistakes and stuff like that, but I think the more he plays, he's going to play out. That's going to play out of him a lot better. So yeah, I'd definitely bring on Lukonga. I'd bring in Saka on the right hand side to replace. Well, who was on the right hand side?
Martinelli.
To go with Martinelli. But I'd put Martinelli on the left. I don't see Martinelli as a forward. He's too erratic and he causes way too much chaos. You need that as a winger. And when you see him play off the wing, he can cause some absolute chaos to defenders. And he's very erratic, and they don't know what he's doing half the time. I don't even think the kid knows what he's doing half the time, but it always seems to play off for him. And this is why I like him as a winger over than I would do a forward.
But he seemed to play more central when we saw him at Newcastle the other week at the Emirates, Mike. He
does come in. Yeah, he does come in. Don't get me wrong, he does come in. But when you're looking for someone to take on, defenders and stuff like that, and you see him go against, with left backs and right backs at opposite teams, it just causes absolute chaos and issues for him. And playing with someone like with Tierney behind him, I think that'd be better than having Tavares behind him, if I'm being honest, because I think it'd suit them more. We've seen them together before, and it suits them better. Having a more of a defensive player in KT than having Tavares, who can bomb up the field a lot more. It suits having someone like that behind him. So yeah, that's the only other change I'd got is put KT in over Tavares. Like everyone else has said, not that he's done anything wrong. I just think it's time for KT to come back and show what he can do, and maybe push Tavares out a little bit and bring in himself, because I think someone mentioned it in the chat earlier on. Someone needs to take over this captaincy, and I think the main candidate for that at the moment is going to be someone like Kieran Tierney, because someone needs to take over this captaincy from Aubameyang now. And I think, as I've said before about Aubameyang, I won't go back into it. He needs to be dropped. So the next best thing for me as a captain in our squad would be Tierney.
Ferg, can I ask you a question, mate?
Go on, far away.
Thanks, Ferg. You're such a gentleman.
You're so old.
How do we fit what we need to fit Tierney and Tavares in the team?
It'd work as a back five.
They're both in our 11 best players. And you're right, Mike. That's the only way I could see, mate, is by going to a back five. But going to a back five sort of upsets the apple cart a bit, because as a back four, we ain't been doing bad, have we? So it's a bit of a bloody conundrum, isn't it? I want to see them both somehow play in the side, but I know unless we go to back five, it's hard. It's not really gonna...
It would work in a back five, but you've also got that problem, haven't you? If, say, for instance, one of them goes injured, or even both go injured, we've not got that left-sided left back, have we? That's the issue that we've got.
We have.
Well, if they both go off injured. Oh God, no.
It's been a long time since we've had a discussion about two fullbacks that playing in the same position and argue over which one you'd have in and which one you haven't. Can we get them both in the team? So it's really encouraging, yeah.
You know what's discouraging and disparaging a little bit is, and there's a couple of people in the chat that have said stuff as well. Tavares has been getting pelters after the Liverpool game, and he got some pelters against Man United. Players are going to make a mistake here and there, and players aren't going to be perfect every time.
KT has made his mistakes, so
of course he has.
You've also got to look at Gabriel and Ben White. Ben White has made some howlers this season. He's made some mistakes. May not always cost a goal, but he has made some mistakes. So we do have players that do make mistakes, and I think everyone is. End of the day, you got to look at it this way: they're only humans. So sooner or later, someone's going to make a mistake.
I think he's been really impressive, young Ben White, since he's been there. And if you're talking about not playing Uber tomorrow night and making a different captain, I wouldn't argue with Ben White being given the captain's armband from what I've seen from him so far.
Folks, stick with it. Let's choose the captains. Folks,
that is my question on here. Who is your captain? Would you go Ben White? Would you go KT? Would you go Gabriel? Do you go forward? Who is your captain? Mem, go on. Who's your captain and why?
Ben White.
Why?
Massively impressed by the lad. Like Mike said, yeah, he's made some errors. Especially after that first game, I thought, oh my God, what have we got? What we bought ourselves here? But I think he looks a player. I think he's going to be a fine player for us. You could argue Gabriel, but then is there a language barrier there? And the only other one for me would be KT. So yeah, one of those two.
Mike, who would be your captain? I think you type a hinted at that anyway.
Yeah. My captain would be definitely KT, because I think he's very vocal, and I can see him coming across as being one of the people that will hold you to account if you've done anything wrong, and I can see him being that type of person to hold people to account. And obviously drive on the team as well, because we've seen him do that before. We've seen him try and drive the team. I've watched him when we've been to away games. You can see him, his hand movements, his gestures to try and push the team forward and trying to make something happen. He does do it. Other than that, I could probably see maybe Gabriel over Ben White, because I don't think there's much of a language barrier there with Gabriel anymore. But God, does he kick off when he does want to kick off? Yeah, and I like that.
Yeah, I love it. Love it.
Trev, who would you have as a captain? Are you with C. Osborne? Would you have Xhaka as your captain?
You know what? He took the words out of my mouth. He took the words out of my mouth. Granit Xhaka.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And honestly, for me, at the moment, going on current form and the way we've been and looking at people's body language and how they act, Gabriel's the only way to go for me. He's the only way to go for me, Gabriel. At the moment, Tierney's been out injured. I think Ben White is maybe just a little bit too young. And so I love a defender as a captain, me. I love a central defender as a captain. You only got to think about Arsenal captains of the past, central defenders, and you smile because it makes you happy thinking about them. So, Gabriel for me. Gabriel, absolutely Gabriel.
I'd have to agree. I'd go Gabriel, and the one why I go Gabby is the performance and the leadership he showed against Burnley in particular way. One of the first games I saw, Arsenal showed that we had a pair of cojones. You see, that's swearing in Spanish, so it's okay. And he was talking to the ref. He was like, standing up for his players. And I like a defender, as you said, to be a captain. I don't agree. I never agreed with Thierry Henry being captain. Don't agree with anybody past the midfield being a captain. But also some of the guys, Nathaniel and Kai, put in there that they want Ramsdale to be captain. I'm not keen on a keeper being captain either.
That's the only reason why you wouldn't pick the boy, because he's got all the personality in the world to be the captain of the Arsenal. He really has.
Absolutely.
He really has.
Absolutely.
Find of the season. Buy the season. Bar nobody.
I'm gobsmacked.
The captain needs to be able to move around the pitch and pass on the message. I don't know if any of you guys watched the West Ham Chelsea game, and I watched it in my local pub.
No, mate, I'm an Arsenal fan.
Well said, Mike.
Arsenal weren't playing yet. Arsenal weren't playing yesterday, so I watched it, and
that's why I didn't watch it.
Wait for the name drop. There's a name drop coming. I went to watch West Ham with my mate. Here it comes. Cue Fergus.
He would have been at the stadium.
I was sat in the pub with him having a drink. We've heard it all before.
Clunk. No. I was sitting with my mates, okay, and watching. And
what, you've got mates?
I do only have two. I've only got two, and Trev's just rented for the weekend.
I hope he charged a lot,
Right. Declan Rice, you said, Kai, I did get it right, and I've said it several times, Declan, not Damien. So Declan Rice gets a little message come through, but he's proper captain material, and he just sends the message around to the team, and that's a midfield player, and that's why I feel an outfield player needs to be, he can talk to the forwards, he can talk to the defence, so it needs to be a defender or a midfielder that can get that message across. And no, my mate wasn't there. He was doing his job.
Mind you, mate, a lot of goalies nowadays play as sweeper keepers, don't they? So you could argue that he's going outfield, anyway, isn't he? But yeah,
They're
I love
doing
the
it.
guy.
Right.
He's-
Round robin predictions. Trev, prediction for tomorrow, 4-0.
For tomorrow, no, I think it's going to be 2-0 to the Arsenal.
Okay. Scunny?
Yeah, I was going to say the same 2-0.
Mem?
Yeah, must win. Got to bounce back. Don't really see us scoring too many more than 2 in a game at the moment at best. So yeah, 2-0. I'd go with. I'd grab that with both hands.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 3-0. Simply because I think our defence is strong. If only we can get somebody to start scoring goals. I definitely think we'll keep a clean sheet, because I think in the main we've been keeping clean sheets. But I'm on a WhatsApp group, and somebody said it's a must-win game to stop the rot. What rot?
Man?
We lost one game.
Look, the way I see it is, I know, no one can. Was anyone really in this room here talking to you a lot here? Was we expecting a lot this season? At the start of the season, was we expecting a lot? Be honest.
Six would have been
Trev,
a really good result. 5th or
Trev,
6th.
Was you expecting a lot this season? I know you wanted the Prem, but what I'm trying to be realistic.
My expectations for this season that we would finish above 8th, Michael.
Yeah, and Mem.
My expectations this season, yeah, I'm quite optimistic sort of guy, individual anyway. But realistically, to finish above Spurs this season is all I want this season. Okay.
Yeah, and
That's where I'm at.
And we're currently what, 5th? Who were they
Sixth
expecting?
now.
No, we're 7th now,
We're
mate.
sixth
Man
now.
U and Spurs
Nice.
have jumped us now.
Yeah.
No, Man U was still behind us, weren't they?
No, mate, they won, didn't they?
No,
they
they've got
beat
to be
Palace.
behind. Oh, they've won again today, yeah. So
Yeah,
they've got
they're on top of. We're
right.
7th, lads. Got a
Right, so
game
we're
in hand,
7th
I
at the
think,
minute.
on
Right,
Man U.
we're 7th
Yeah.
with very little points between us, 4th. Up until, is it the top 10? I think it is. There's very few points between
Tight.
anyone. It's
We're
very
4
tight.
points behind West Ham with a game in hand,
Yeah.
as it stands.
So, did any of you expect us to be where we are at now?
Yeah, I was kind of hoping we were.
Yeah, you're hoping.
Yeah.
You think the best, but you were,
Mike,
if I'm being
I'll be
realistic, I was
realistic.
expecting us
What-
to be hanging around the 10th mark. Right at this moment in
Okay.
time, I was expecting us hanging around that 10th spot.
Okay.
Even I was expecting that. I wasn't expecting
we're
a lot
better
from
than
this
that now.
season over
But that's
over
where
the
we were
previous
last
seasons.
season.
Yeah,
Yeah,
over the previous
there you go.
seasons that we've seen,
Yeah.
and the way, yes, we brought in new talent. I wasn't expecting the new talent to be, a lot of them anyway, to be as good as what they are right now, and expecting to hit it off straight away as they did. So yeah, not a lot of us expected to be where we are now, 7th, barring if we get a win tomorrow, what we're going to be back up to 5th.
5th, yeah.
Yeah,
We win tomorrow.
no
night,
one was expecting that. So, as much as I hate to say it, yes, I like to see us doing well. I want to see us doing well, and you've just got to take it as it comes. Just enjoy what we're doing. Enjoy
Agreed.
that we're 5th. Stop. I hate this going around at the minute now. I was horrible for it last season about us being where we were and everything else, and I got myself into a right state about it, and I got fed up of football towards the end of last season. I got fed up of everything. But the way I see it now is I'm taking it game by game. So let's just take it game by game. Enjoy the game. If we win, we win. If we lose, we lose. We lose as a team. We lose as supporters, and we lose as a team of supporters. Let's just enjoy it while we can. We're not here to. We're not. It's no one expected us to be where we are. No one is expecting us to be challenging for 4th before Christmas. So let's just enjoy it and let's crack on with it and just get behind the team a little bit. You still got. I know Hoggy and Gunnar Russ who's in there. I know he's I know what he's like. He's a nightmare. So I'll leave him to it. But yeah, we will lose 10 plus games this season. Yeah, we will.
Listen,
Who cares though? No one's expecting us to win the Premiership.
How many we're going to win though? Forget about how many games we're going to lose. Let's count the ones that we're going to win and see where we go. I like what you said about game by game, Mike. Yeah, 100% behind you with that. And it's good. We're seeing progress and it looks so encouraging. So yeah, well said.
Who expected us, at the start of the season, who was expected us to go to Old Trafford and, all right, yeah, we lost 3-2. But who had expected us at the start of the season to go in with a bit of a fight at Old Trafford? Nobody.
It's
Irish Mick, our predictions are a lot of heart, but and yeah, you are right. Everton is a different place, difficult place for us to traditionally go. But I think Everton are in a bad place right now, and I think we're in a slightly better place. Hence why I think we'd win. Otherwise, I probably would have gone for a draw. Listen, Mike, we're in very many mutual WhatsApp groups with Gunnar Ross and with other people and. All got various opinions and so on. But what you just said a minute ago was absolutely spot on. Who cares who the manager is? Who cares whatever? I enjoy this. I enjoy supporting the Arsenal. I enjoy seeing my mates and having days out like we did last weekend, Mem. Although I wasn't in my best form, but it is about win, lose, or draw, we support the Arsenal through thick and thin. And if we end up being relegated into the Championship, which is not going to happen, it doesn't matter. I'll still be an Arsenal supporter. It doesn't matter. I am an Arsenal fan. And all the bitching and moaning and negativity and getting yourselves down and getting yourselves worked up. I read some of this stuff. Hence why they're mostly on mute. I read some of this stuff and it just gives me a headache. It's negativity that you don't need to give yourself. And Scotty, I spoke to you privately about it, and I'm only mentioning it because you brought it up here, that it got you down last year. And
well, I was doing my own podcast. I was doing my own podcast on my own show. And as you know, sometimes it's a bit of a grind when you do it week in, week out. It can be a bit of a grind, and especially when your team is, you're not playing well as a team, and you're watching your team and everything else. It gets a bit of a grind and everything that. So, and it's just the way it is. Sometimes it's the way it is, and it just wasn't really for me at the time doing it and everything else. And obviously, it got to me a bit, and it does get to you. And you don't want your team to lose. You don't. Nobody does. You don't want you want to see your team do well. So when you're not seeing them do very well, it does put you down a little bit. And I was going to the away games as well last season. When
not last season, the season before,
the season before and everything. So when we was allowed back in, I was going to the games again. So it's a case of obviously, it does grind you down. It does get to you, but it's just the way it is. You've just got to get on with it. So now, like I say, I've told like you said a minute ago, Fergus, that we did speak privately. I just take it game by game now. I'm not expecting a lot. I'm not expecting anything really, as long as we do well. I'd like us to see us do well. I predicted that we'll probably be 8th again this season, but to see us, bordering 5th. If we win tomorrow, we go 5th. That's great for me because it's higher than what I was expecting.
It's progress.
You can only exactly.
It's progress.
Exactly. And I'd just like to say thank you to everyone who said fair play, Mike, and everyone else in the chat, saying Scunny and stuff. So, it's nice. And what I will comment on just quick before you go, Fergus, is Trevor has seen it as well. The away fans at the moment, Trevor, fantastic, aren't they? It's the loudest I've heard them for a long time. And it's great when you're out. And you'll know as well, Fergus, because you was there at Leicester. It's fantastic, isn't it? Absolutely fantastic, the away fans at the moment.
You see,
I'm in Leeds on the 18th. Go on, Trev.
No, Fergus, I wasn't going to butt in, mate, because it's really nice to hear Mike talking in that way, and it is a fact that when we got beaten by Manchester United on Thursday, the first thing that came into my mind was, I'm not going to pick on anyone. The first thing that came into my mind was, we play Everton on Monday. Let's bounce back and let's beat Everton, right? Now we've spoken about lots of players tonight and the manager, right? But we've not really been. We've said it how we think in a nice structured way. Maybe that's why we don't get so many followers on this show, Fergus, because we're fans and we get a defeat. We talk about the game. We don't call for anyone's head really, or really get heavy on them. We think about the next game because we like watching the football, So, Mike, I agree with what Mike just said. It's the expectations weren't high. My hopes rather than expectations that we would finish above 8th, and I'd love us to get back into Europe. And apart from that, I can see improvement. Mike mentioned Liverpool away and Man United away. It's in previous seasons, I've gone to Liverpool away and I've gone to Man United away full of dread. I've not wanted to go. This year, although we got beaten 4-0 at Liverpool and we got narrowly beaten at Man United, I wasn't full of dread and worry before them games. Even after the game against Liverpool, I could see enough good points, i.e. from the first 40 minutes of the game, to make me think, as Mike just said, yeah, we are an improving side, you know. So Mike's right. You know, we get beaten. We talk about the game. We call players a little bit if they've been playing poorly. We call Arteta if we think he's made a wrong choice. But that's it. We're football fans. We come back next week and we watch the football and we want Arsenal to win again. And one more point from me before I shut up for the night. Jenny Hogg, it's been lovely having you on here tonight commenting. You're so much more interesting than your other half, Russ. All right? That's all you're getting from me tonight.
And it's a happy anniversary to Gunnar Russ and Jenny Hogg. May you have many more happy years together. Jenny, I don't know how you have happy years with that fella. Bloody hell. You must have good earplugs because Christ, he deafens me when he sings at the Arsenal.
You can talk.
Boys.
You can bloody talk. I've actually had to move away from you, Fergus, at a game. I've actually had to move away from you. Unbelievable.
And you got Ben Bennett coming beside you for the Southampton game.
You're gonna love that. Is he? Oh my!
Yeah, he's got Johnny C.
Oh, brilliant!
Oh, brilliant!
Yeah,
you're gonna have fun, mate.
That's why I was giggling and said, "Oh, Trevor loved that." The old man, you know, he was sitting there with his Zimmer frame and his earplugs in. Yeah, there we go.
Top level.
It's all right. I've taken my son for the first time this season. He's been going to the Arsenal away games and stuff with me, and only to the games I can get there. You saw him at Leicester, and I think you saw him at the Man City game. Yeah,
yeah.
But during the Leicester game, it was brilliant because it was the first time I've ever seen him starting singing up. It was great. So it's nice. It's nice to see, and I love it. I love going to the away games because it's the only ones I can really get to. I don't get to home games as much as I really wanted to, but you know, it's the way it is with the way it is. So going to away games, taking my lads, I love it. It's brilliant.
Do you know what, Mike? I owe you an apology because I didn't answer. I waffled on for about 5 minutes. I didn't answer your question. Yes, there is a noticeable difference in the away fans this year and their enthusiasm and their chanting and the general feeling within the fan base, you know, very positive. But I'm telling you now, right, that is partly the fans, but that is partly because we've now got players, Ramsdale, Gabriel, Smith-Rowe, Saka, I can name them all, that make you want to watch our side play football because when they play well, there's none better. You know, so the fans are going.
Mikel Arteta, the best looking Spanish I know.
Yeah, well, you've changed the subject now. We could go off on a tangent here, Fergus.
No. I'm trying to get to a close, but I do agree the away fans have been outstanding this year, and also there has to be a shout out for the home fans in most games. Some of the 12, 13 and so on is a little bit hard work at the start, but the home fans, Mem hasn't been for years,
didn't it? It did get going.
It did get going,
it got going.
And the Emirates does have a bit of atmosphere and noise about it. Mem, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having
love
us.
the
Good
picture of
seeing
the
you
little
both,
doggy in the
lads. Good seeing
background.
you both.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at Russ. His last comment, Fergus. That's hilarious.
Jenny's phone has died. She can't speak.
That makes more sense now.
Right. Scunny, thanks very much. Really enjoyed your input, and we'll see you down here hopefully soon. If not, you're trying to get? I know Jamie's trying to sort out tickets for Leeds.
I'm trying to go to Leeds, but you know, if I can get, I can get. If I can't, I can't. It's the way it is. It's the way it works.
Yeah.
There'll be another game coming along.
Trev, I'll see you on Saturday. We'll have to figure out what pub we're starting off in. I'll tell you what, the pub we need to always promote, because they always like and share our Instagrams when we come along and say we're doing this, is the Woodbine. The Woodbine always come along. Every time I post up something up, they always like and share it. So the Woodbine's got a great pint of Guinness.
Great
It
pub.
gets packed.
Brilliant boozer, but you go in there. It's it's,
Where did you take me last week, Ferg? I don't remember.
We went to the Woodbine and we had to leave because they only had 2 staff, and then we went to the Arsenal Tavern.
Okay.
And that was all right. We had just had the 1 pint. So I don't think bar not drinking at all, I don't think I was ever more sober going to the football. I refuse to drink that crap they serve up in the Arsenal at £6.20. It is awful. Absolutely awful.
Hey,
Right.
Berg, 3 o'clock kickoff next Saturday. 3 o'clock Saturday. It's a rare one. We're going to enjoy it, son.
Old school, that is.
You won't believe it. We're not in
Trev.
Europe anymore, and this is going to what? Is that a second or third 3 o'clock kickoff on a Saturday? How's that work?
Yeah.
Because people want to see the Arsenal on telly.
Well, that's
3
it.
o'clock kickoff, so it's definitely a piss up. Then you got West Ham midweek. I'm going out with your brothers.
I won't be drinking,
Oh.
Don, if you're watching. Not even
Yeah.
two pints.
He's on that malt drink. You know, it looks quite dark. It's that malt drink, isn't it? That's what he'll
He's
be
on
drinking.
Bovril, mate.
And-
That's what he's on.
That's what it is, yeah.
Yeah, Bovril with a white head on it, but it's cold.
Yeah.
And
Bovril
we
with a
haven't
bit
only
of cream
two-
top.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we got Southampton. We got West Ham, then away to Leeds. I've got a whole week effectively on the piss, guys. It's been great watching you. I was trying to stick to an hour. I told the wife I'd definitely be down an hour.
Wow.
It's an hour and 20. Up the Arsenal.
You've been listening to Guns and Yellow Ribbons, an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Follow us on Facebook at Guns and Yellow Ribbons and Twitter at Guns and Ribbons. And remember to rate and review us too.